Well, hi again, everybody. Here we are again with some post 2024 election astrology. And we have, quite a lot to catch up on. But we have several reasons why we think things are coming to light and are going to come to light, but we'll kind of run through them. But first of all, quickly, I'm Louise Edington, Cosmic Owl Astrology. louiseedington.com. I write on Substack, Cosmic Owl Astrology. My YouTube channel, you're on that, so Cosmic Owl Astrology, and I'm offering a Venus retrograde class, and this Venus retrograde is off the charts. It's going to be amazing. It's astro-shamanic in nature. It's actually a healing journey, and in my opinion, this healing journey is not just an individual one, it's going to be a collective one. So those of us doing it will be helping the collective. But anyway. Who wants to
I'm
go?
Kathy Biehl, professional Aquarian on YouTube. My website is empowermentunlimited.net. I also have patreon.com/Kathy Biehl, where there's lots of hanging out that happens and various other things. I have weekly, moon, and monthly forecasts and this. So, Andy.
My name is Andy Brewer. My website is andrew-brewer.com. I'm going to be 70 years old in 2 weeks from today, so I don't do very much of anything. But when I was younger, I read a bunch of books, and I have had a few that were bestsellers lately, so that's exciting. And I do have a book I want to promote. I'm actually going to promote something that I wrote back when Trump was president the first time called Suck My Root Chakra, Love and Nightmares. Yes, it's a classic, I guess. And I think that book, actually, it's on Amazon, kind of speaks to what I think is going to happen coming up. So andrew-brewer.com, and Kathy, I do not rant on Facebook. I simply express my opinions. So on Facebook, it's Andrew Bassano Brewer. I know everybody's freaking out, but it may not be as much of a freak out long term as it looks like this week. Happy 2025. But yes, my birthday's in 2 weeks. I'll be 70 years old, Jesus. And here we are. And this is the only thing I do that's not just like talking on the phone to people. So hi.
Well, I'll just throw in my birthday's in 4 days, and there's no way in hell you're getting my age out of me.
I know it, but I won't tell.
I'm the oldest by far, so that's good.
Not that far. Okay. So, are we all Pluto in Virgo, by the way?
No.
Pluto and Leo, baby.
Oh, okay.
We're boomers. You got boomers here.
Oh, I'm Pluto in Virgo.
Pluto and Leo, Moon and Leo.
Two Leo
It's
moons.
our time.
Anyway, everyone's they're chomping at the bit. So
yeah,
be nice
I know.
to them.
So Kathy has
excited. It's my birthday.
Kathy has a rundown of the news, and then we're going to look at just a very short period of time because there's a lot coming up and a couple of charts. And so take it away, Kathy. I do want to mention, just go and watch. You can actually Google the point. Just watch the point of the inauguration where Joe Biden and Kamala Harris walked in together and lip read what she is saying. And most people think she says justice is coming, and I think so too. Somebody pointed out in the comments, and Kathy's seen it. And anyway, she was stifling her laugh. So anyway.
We always like to start with a recap of events. It's not everything, but things that have actually played out, forecasts that we have made. So one big category, pushback against Trump. Lawsuits against the Department of Government Efficiency were filed within 1 hour of the inauguration ceremony. The next day, 22 states and the ACLU filed lawsuits against his executive order purporting to revoke birthright citizenship, which is guaranteed in the 14th Amendment of the Constitution. The Philadelphia district attorney is talking about bringing state charges for January 6 prisoners who were pardoned and freed. Some prisons are balking at letting the prisoners out. Several prisoners who have been released have already been arrested on state charges for crimes that they committed in their immediate time out. The nomination for the Department of Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth is meeting incredible pushback, and it's one Republican away from failing. And then, of course, there is the remarkable statement by Bishop Buddha at the National Cathedral preaching the gospel and urging humility and mercy for at-risk communities, which has initiated a firestorm. But a major religious leader, while Venus was conjunct Saturn, a female religious leader, spoke up and out. And a lot of church officials are backing her. And of course, she's gotten a lot of grief for that. So that's one category. Then there's the whole category of what's going on with the broligarchs. Well, the Spanish Prime Minister at Davos, which is going on as we speak, made a statement that the tech barons want to overthrow democracy with the way they are running their social media websites, and he is going to propose at the next meeting of European Union leaders in Brussels that they institute regulations to do things like fight bots and fake profiles and use the Digital Services Act to go after tech barons. So that's in the works. Particularly tasty, the Deutsches Museum, which is a science and technology museum in Munich, has removed Musk's portrait from a space exhibit about innovators after he made a certain gesture. So there's that. And then in the big category of election interference, well, Trump himself made statements on January 19th and 20th. So right before and right after the hand not on the Bible ceremony, connecting Musk and computers to at least one state's election results. Representative Jasmine Crockett, God bless her, from Texas, is now calling for an investigation into these comments. And remember, Canada has its own report that it has done about election interference, which is scheduled to come out by the end of the month. So be watching for that. Any other news events anybody wants to mention? And oh, someone had mentioned Spain in one of our earlier broadcasts, right? Spain, maybe?
Yeah, I think it was actually a video I watched. It was one of the kind of tarot readers or something mentioned Spain, and there's that Spanish prime minister doing the thing in Davos. So this again speaks to what we've been saying for all this time about other countries definitely kind of being involved in creating this web of connections about what's going on. So anyway.
Anything about the news before I move on to the astrology, Andy? Nope.
No, I could talk for 5 days, so I'm just going to kind of stay chill for the most part.
There'll be things to chime in a second.
Mm.
Okay, so we want to give you the lay of the land astrologically between now and February 1st, a very tight window because, as always, there are many important things happening, and they will, I at this point am going to say certainly will, especially with the Canada report coming out, bring out more information and events that pertain to the things that we have been talking about since early November for free. I'll just throw that in right there. Okay, so on the 23rd.
I'm going to share the new moon chart and kind of point or put lines to where these things are for people that really want to look at it as well. But just know, if you just want to listen, just don't get tied up in the chart. So anyway, rather than move the chart, I'm just going to kind of guide.
Right, that's like a little contemplation point for you.
Yeah.
All right, on the 23rd, Mercury and Mars, communication and action, Mars retrograde, going back over past things, are interacting with each other. They're in an opposition, which kind of challenges some things, and they are both contacting Uranus in Taurus. Mercury is in a trine, which is just a direct current, and Mars is in a sextile, which is an opening, and they are forming a mystic rectangle with the moon. Would you care to elaborate on that, Louise?
Well, the mystic rectangle is nothing mystic really, but it's kind of very enclosed, two oppositions, um, um, surrounded by two trines and two sextiles. And from what my experience with mystic rectangles is that a lot of things are happening inwardly. It's another kind of hidden kind of element because it's all very enclosed. So anything, and as that mystic rectangle breaks apart, how I see it is that things are going to really start to come out. And incidentally, I did leave Pallas Athena on here because at the same time as Mercury and Mars oppose each other, Pallas Athena is involved as well, the goddess of strategic justice. So I just, and it's going to move apart pretty quickly because Mercury is moving, as you can see, by the 29th. Mercury is already in Aquarius, which we'll speak to as well. So expect things to start coming out as they are doing.
Right. And a lot of them are going to have to do with events in late October 2024, because that Mars is retrograde and it's traveling through territory that it was then. Okay, so the next thing to note, on the 25th, which is Saturday, Venus trines Mars. Venus in Pisces has an open current or an unbroken flow with Mars, which is still retrograde. So that there could be something that affects a whole lot of people. It could have a great deal of Venus in Pisces. Really, it has a lot to do with inspired creativity and fantasy, but also the highest expression of love and compassion. The sermon that was preached from the pulpit of the National Cathedral completely embodies that. Like, let's have mercy, let's have compassion, let's see how we are all connected. And Mars retrograde is when Venus and Mars are getting along. Venus says, "This is what I want," and Mars says, "Yes, my lady, I'll go get it." In theory.
And I do want to mention that the two will trine each other again after Venus retrograde. So in March, which keeps coming up. So I'm not
in March.
Yeah.
Now, on the 26th, which is Sunday, there are two opportunity aspects involving information and also this connectedness, but also possibly a woman, with Mercury in a sextile to Neptune, possibly opening onto lies, deceit, fraud, and Venus in a sextile to Uranus, some kind of breakthrough or shocking something or other involving money, resources, technology. And at the same time, Mars, retrograde Mars action, dating back to late October, is going to be opposing the asteroid Pallas Athena strategic planning.
Yeah.
So,
and I can't really point out Mercury's going to late Capricorn then. So, by this chart, he's moved on. So, but yeah. So Mercury will be about here, sextile Neptune. So, yeah.
So likely this is not going to be a quiet weekend. All right.
No.
Just notice that, folks. Okay. Then the 27th, Monday, send me a happy birthday message. Send money to the World Central Kitchen in my name. I'm serious. Monday, Mercury communication moves into Aquarius, which is a much more detached observer mode. It also is like collective information, could be something involving, again, technology. And very soon after Mercury moves into Aquarius, it meets Pluto. Ooh, that's pretty major. Big conversations, big information, real candid stuff, scary things, secret, big money power plays. Who knows what more? I mean, people keep jumping platforms. That could be another moment of we're all going to leave here and go someplace else. I don't know.
Mhm.
And then that paves the way to the 29th, the new moon in Aquarius, which is what this chart is that we have up here. And you'll notice that there is a lot of energy in Aquarius. Pluto, this big transformational shift of power, Mercury, communication and how we get around, the sun, the moon, and oh, come on, Ceres,
Series, yeah.
which has to do with
And
our
I will,
research.
yeah, and I will say Mercury, looking at traditional astrology, and Pluto really is both combust the sun. So, that kind of indicates, I always think of combust actually, that things appear after they've kind of, been combust, if you like. So, bit behind the scenes again, but I still think things are going to come out anyway. They are doing already. So, yeah.
Well, interestingly, all right, so a new moon is a time when of fresh starts, of new beginnings, of the next phase of something. Sometimes people have little ceremonies where they set intentions or goals or wishes or whatever. What's fascinating about this one is that in modern astrology, Aquarius is ruled by Uranus, which has been hanging out in Taurus for quite some time. And Uranus is stationing direct the very next day. So this new moon starts with its ruler rumbling into a different direction. Uranus has been retrograde since early October. It has been at this particular location since December 20th, which is a date that might go ding, ding, ding for a few of you. And it will stay at this location, at this degree, until March 13th. It's the second time we've mentioned March. So there is, with this new moon, the rumbling of changes have been going on underground, and they are going to start coming forward, forward, forward. Now, this this one, this Uranus directly locks into Trump's chart in a couple of really important ways. So things are rumbling and coming out, and they have to do with money and they have to do with technology.
Yep.
And then there's one final thing for this week, unless there's something else you want to say about Uranus, etc.
I just wanted to say that Uranus leaves that degree just a few hours before the first eclipse early on March the 14th at 23 Virgo, 23 again. So March again. So, an eclipse is like new or full moons on steroids. So, so to speak.
And the final thing to watch for this week, February 1st, just before Groundhog Day, Venus and Neptune conjunct, and they're also conjunct the North Node pretty much. Venus and Neptune are the lower and higher rulers of love and inspiration and creativity. They will meet again at, late March. So they're going to meet twice this year at the end of Pisces. We'll see what this means with the North Node. So where we're heading is more of a recognition of universal connectedness. The path of the future is what Bishop Buddha was preaching at the National Cathedral. The path of the future is we are all in this together. Can we please be kind to each other, especially those who are less fortunate among us?
And it also is, all that Pisces energy so concentrated is really about immense compassion too. And I think a lot of people are just kind of going to realize what's actually kind of happening and be kind of flooded with compassion. Maybe they were unable to feel before, It's a very potent mix. And it's square to the galactic center, which I use, which is the center of our galaxy, which sends waves of new information into our consciousness. So There you go.
Andy, any comments on the flow of the astrological aspects?
Well, I mean, simplistically, excuse me, for me, it kind of comes down to this. You know, I've looked at and thought about this rise of nationalism and neo-Nazism for a long time. And I said it would show up, and here it is. And I also said that it would not take hold. And I expect pushback relatively soon against this movement. I expect it initially from Europe, who has to be having flashbacks collectively, from Canada, from all over the world. So whatever this initiative is, it's also scaring people because people sort of looked at Trump as this entertainer, but he's actually doing some of the things that he said he would do. And so this is news to people. I do think there will be a collective pushback. I maintain that the collective energy of the United States is not in alignment with what Trump is trying to do. To me, this is a land grab, run through the banks and steal as much money as possible. To me, Musk's initiative is to try to divert money from currently funded programs within the United States so that those can be pointed towards defense contracts for people that are friends with Musk and Thiel. So I do think there will be a pushback. I think it will happen relatively quickly. And I just do not think that this push ultimately will succeed. That is my hope, but it's been my long-term prediction, and that's still what I think. So that's how I feel about it.
Thousands and thousands of people have been put out of work in just the span of days, and increasingly people are going to know someone who got hit. The fact that the prescription drug caps for Medicare and Medicaid have been released, all kinds of people are going to be hit by that. Diabetics, yeah, all that Venus, all that Venus in Pisces. Here we go, sweetness, diabetics. People are going to know that. People are going to see workers in their restaurants disappearing. They're going to start noticing that the price of eggs has gone up 39%. Interesting. Bird flu is spreading. I mean, I think that there's
bird flu spreading, and he shut down announcements from all the health authorities, you know. So we're not going to know where it's spreading because he won't let that come out. Anyway, yeah.
And my point in bringing it up is that more and more and more and more people very quickly are going to be personally touched by this chaos, and just watch. And I think it will happen very quickly. And I think the aspects of this week indicate that we'll be seeing it more and more and more.
Yeah, it's absolutely huge, you know, and to go back to Cassie's list of aspects about Venus meeting Neptune, immediately after Venus meets the North Node, then the North Node and Neptune meet. It's all happening in about the space of 4 days, but really it's all happening together because this is vast energy. And then I will say that Saturn is, you know, because Pisces is big energy, is in orb of the aspect with these three, and Saturn can bring clarity and like a rude awakening at times. So some people are, I don't know if people watched them watching Bishop Buddha. I watched all their faces, but JD Vance's wife, she would not look at him, and she was a bit like a wide-eyed thing. I kind of felt like something was hitting her soul in that message. I could be wrong, but you know, we'll see, I guess. You know, so but it just kind of was emblematic of what we're saying about people are suddenly kind of going to become aware of the con and the gaslighting and you know, the fact what's that guy, one of his nominees, Department of the guy that puts all the policies together, really, he refuses to say he would uphold the law for against Trump, you know, and he was one of the creators of Project 2025, which they are everything in Project 2025 is what they're doing, so, or trying to do. Oh, and even Pisces can, one more thing, they're even taking down pages on the White House website, right? They've taken down, the Constitution's gone, they've taken down various other sites.
Taken down the Spanish language line.
You can go and look for yourself. It's just all Trump as like this hero. Ugh, it's gross. So, but that's very Pisces as well, kind of that I'm the star, I'm the glamour. So the North Node can show up the real shadow as well. So, yeah, anyway, there we go.
Okay.
Yes. Okay, who are we going to look at first? I don't think we're going to look at loads of charts because, it's all kind of happening together. But
should we quickly put up how this affects the White House occupants chart?
yes, so let's have a look at him.
And you want to put the new moon around it?
I will. Oops, sorry.
And I will, I'll just mention that the aspects of this weekend could have something could show that things have not been as they have appeared. Just hang on to that concept, okay? Things have not been as they have appeared.
Yes. So, well, I'd love to mention, because I've done a lot of looking at this. I've done a whole video on this collection in Pisces that we've talked about. But most importantly, I think Neptune, Venus, and the North Node are all meeting right on the cusp of his eighth house. And the eighth house is a place of hidden things. It's a place of shared resources as well. It's also said to be the house of death. And so, I'm not predicting that, but maybe death of something. And such a powerful conjunction happening right on the cusp of this house is huge, as Saturn is also coming back up to square his the eclipse he was born on in Gemini and Sagittarius. Saturn was there once before before it turned retrograde. I can't remember what date that was, but this is change, mutable change, people seeing what's really going on. It's I don't think it's good for him. I'll let you talk about the other ones that you've mentioned, or
well, to add on what you just said, Venus is exactly trine his natal Venus, money planet, women, and Saturn is exactly square, confronting, pushing against his Uranus in the 10th house. And I've been saying since it did it the first time in August, this is the Iron Maiden closing in on him. There's some unavoidable cosmic 2x4. I don't care where he's sitting right now and what he purports to be doing. This is a giant cosmic 2x4 coming down on him for being such a chaos agent. And Saturn is in an exact adjustment aspect, a quincunx or an inconjunct with Jupiter in Libra in his second house of personal resources. So what his big thing is, he makes deals. That's what he does. He makes deals. And the Saturn's in his house of partners and open enemies. And it's exactly in this adjustment aspect. He's telling Putin's got to stop the war in Ukraine or he's going to put tariffs on Russia. That's real smart. And here he is at Davos saying to the whole world, make your products in the US or I'm going to put tariffs on you. What do you think? Where do you think the real power lies? I don't think it's with him. The one other thing, you want to say no, want to say anything about these aspects before I go on to the next one? Do you want to wait and say it all? You want to attack that one in?
Well, just real quickly, I mean, I think that Trump is a representative of a certain way of being and a push to dismantle the United States. And and I believe it's going to fail. So I've said for a long time too, Trump cannot escape what's coming, nor should he. I do believe that Trump is creating conditions within himself that draws a lot of attention to himself that I don't think is really favorable for him, no matter what types of applause he may be getting from his core base. People are not going to be really happy when they recognize that so many things they've grown accustomed to are being sacrificed. I think the pushback will happen fairly quickly. And so I would look to whatever aspects are happening over the next 6 months as things that potentially could be like slam bams to a lot of people, Musk, I would think especially.
Mm-hmm.
But I think Trump is creating a lot of intense animosity towards him and everything that he represents, not only within the United States, but all over the world. And, facts matter. Their entire operation, to some degree, is in distorting facts. And people accept that. But when the reality of how that distortion really plays out in their day-to-day lives, I think they may want to go back to some factual reality. And I think that when those things happen, and to me it's inevitable, I think that will change the flow of what he's trying to initiate. And I do think there will be serious pushback from multiple directions. So I don't think things are so great for Trump moving forward. That would be my wish, but it's also my prediction for what happens. So we'll see.
So I'd
Well,
love to go back to the new moon, if that's all right, quickly on this.
on that point, yeah, because there's something else I
Yeah.
want to say about this, but go
Yeah.
on.
The new moon is opposing his 12th house Pluto, is in a trine aspect to Jupiter in Gemini, which is also stationing direct pretty soon. When is that? February? No, I can't remember the date, but it's at the station direct degree. And
February 4th.
and the new moon is in the 6th house, which is kind of data reports, and Aquarius is also kind of related to pulling all the data together. I've mentioned the Smart Elections website many times. It was mentioned in the Newsweek article that talked about Jasmine Crockett talking about election interference. This is not good for him either. Opposing his Pluto, kind of bringing what he's hidden to light, and Jupiter, the truth, information, stationing direct. So that's another thing that's not good for him. Yeah, go on, Kathy.
Well, then let's add to our
Mm,
favorite degree, 23. Now, I mentioned that
yes.
Uranus, the ruler of this Aquarius new moon, is stationing direct at 23 Taurus, right there at the doorway, 1 degree away from his midheaven. It's exactly in a sextile to his Saturn. It's gone over his midheaven twice already. In March, it's going to cross it another time. Before it crosses, we've mentioned March multiple times now. So this is starting like you can see the wrecking ball pulling back and starting to slam for its third and final time using a predictive technique called converse solar arc. His converse solar arc, Pluto will have already been sitting on that midheaven. So both change agents will be there. I was talking to another astrologer about this last night, and she said, that's a hydrogen bomb. Indeed it is. On his career, on the door to his public reputation, on his life, everything. This has been building. It's been building since last summer. Notice that Uranus is in an exact trine to Pallas Athena down in the 5th house of risk taking. Yeah. And
Yeah.
in transit. So Jupiter's that's fascinating. Jupiter is in an adjustment aspect to Pallas Athena in the house of risk taking and gambling, and also
And it's
children.
causing a finger of God, a yod, pointing right at justice and the rules in Capricorn. And, he's just, we've said it before, he's kind of flown too close to the sun, if you like. He's kind of just gone too far.
And as unlikely as it seems, the cratering could be very close at hand. I don't care what appears to have happened earlier this week.
Me too.
Any more about this, Andy, before we look at the other person who has a very bad 6 months coming up?
Well, I think Icarus, whose wings melted, is actually a pretty good analogy for Trump.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that Trump is trying to, he's caught up in his own hype. And to me, that's a dangerous place for him to be. And what people fantasize about is great. But if they don't have the skills to implement it, that can lead to a problem. And to me, that's a summation of Trump. He has these grandiose ideas.
Mm-hmm.
He lives in his own cloud, right? And so will reality support his vision or not? I mean, I guess that's the great question on everyone's mind right now. I persist in my belief that the pushback against Trump will be significant, that the pushback against this initiative, this MAGA initiative, will be significant. We'll stop it. And that information will come to light that will show that the United States is not the place that people want to deal with moving forward. And I think the United States is going to have some explaining to do on the world stage before too long as well. This is destructive, and they want destructive, but sometimes you can tear the house down and there's no house to go back into. I think, again, Icarus, the one who flew too close to the sun, I think that kind of sums Trump up a little bit.
And I swear I had not looked at this before, but this is asteroid Icarus on the new moon.
Oh, look at that. It's conjunct.
It's conjunct the new moon, exactly opposing his Pluto, and his own Icarus is in Aquarius, and Ceres is on that. And that can be grief, loss, I think he's kind of, going to be taken down too. Anyway.
Wasn't Icarus Prometheus' son? Am I hallucinating that?
No, his father was the one who made the wings, and Prometheus didn't make wings. It started with an A. I can't remember.
I can't. Was it Apollo? Was it Apollo? Was he Apollo's son?
Oh, I don't know.
Anyway, Icarus was not the Air Force, dude you wanted.
No. And so, no, it was Daedalus.
That's it.
Yes, that's right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But, it's a well-known story. The wings melted and went crashing down, and I had not looked at that before. When Andy was talking, I was like, I'm just going to have a quick look. So anyway, so who are we looking at next? Which one?
And then we're going to look at Musk. We're going to look at Musk, right? And that's pretty much it, right?
Yeah.
Musk. I think Musk is a big deal. So I'm curious what you two have to say about him. And I think the response to Musk is also going to be a big deal. And I think that Musk is going to have some challenges. So I'm curious what you two have to say about this.
Well, instantly I see that the South Node is on his Pluto in Virgo, and the North Node is with all that massive conjunction of Venus, Neptune. North Node in Pisces is opposing his Pluto in the third house of information and and also the voice and community. And South Node is going to release things that have been hidden. Pluto.
And all that Pisces is up in his 9th house of foreign relations. There we go.
And courts.
And courts. Right.
As well.
Right.
Ooh.
That's
yeah.
I have so many notes I can't see it. Pluto in Aquarius at 1 degree Aquarius in his 7th house of partners and open enemies is in a trine to Saturn in the 11th. So, I mean,
with Mercury there too.
Mercury. So that's,
that
that's
rules his Saturn sign.
Right. So, that's making the attempt to put his own power over all these governments.
Mm-hmm.
It's going now, but once Uranus in July, Uranus is going to move into Gemini, and it's going to be on his Saturn.
Mm-hmm.
So we're already projecting ahead that this lovely little time, if I can run around the world and say everything and be Mr. Big Guy, is going to have a very sudden turn of events in July. But there's much happening before then. So his natal Uranus at 9 degrees Libra is in a trine to this new moon. So that already presages, twists, something different, unexpected news, legal things, Uranus and Libra, agreements suddenly showing up like, oh, we found out about this. Isn't that interesting?
Absolutely. Wow.
So that's immediate. I also want to point out that Pluto in Aquarius is sextile, which is an opportunity aspect. His Neptune in the 5th house. I had previously said, there could be something here about recreational drug use, entertainment purposes only. There's been some, behavior in public that's been a little strange. And before January 20th, the Air Force was making public statements about questioning his security clearances because of drug use. But I had said previously that there could be something coming out involving a child. And then this video started surfacing of one of his kids that he takes around everywhere, cackling about how they had Starlink and that they fixed it. They could do anything. That may come back around and be a little bite. That Neptune is opposite Saturn, so there's some kind of almost like messianic, I'm entitled to this, but kind of delusional vibe in what he does and is up to.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Oh, that was.
I mean, he has a strong 12th house natally as well, and I have a 12th house, and it can be prone to both drug use, escapism, and delusion if you haven't learned the lessons of being a 12th house person.
The other thing I wanted to mention, as I've been jumping all around the timeline here, is okay. So Louise has pointed out that the South Node right now has this release impetus on his Pluto, whatever big things he's been doing involving communication. I've been pointing out that currently there's something going on with possibly with Pluto and Mercury being together and in a conversation with both his Neptune and his Saturn. So currently there could be something coming out with other governments revealing things that have to do with trickery or fraud. In the spring, Uranus, which is currently in his public house, okay, one other thing that's going on right now before I go on is this adjustment aspect between his moon and the new moon. So something is going to start. This is a gear shift moment. Things are suddenly not going to go the way he had calculated for them to go.
Can I just say something about astrology in general? I've had several people say, well, surely if you're seeing aspects, some of these aspects, especially the bigger ones, and to the nodes and things like that, surely if you're saying they're a good aspect for us, might they not see it as good for them? I want to quote one of our great friends who you've talked to online as well, Cassie, Steve Judd. He always says the stars don't compel, they impel. And it's how we respond to it, because we're in this quantum kind of universe, and we can all live our charts either in a way of integrity and trying to be the best we can, and some people do not. And so, these aspects will affect everybody differently depending upon, basically, I'm going to say, their their integrity, their ethics, and how they live their chart. So just bigger picture to address those questions I've been having over and over.
And also, if a chart says something one way, it usually says it like 5 times. And
Exactly.
you can tie it to things that have happened out in the world, and the empirical evidence, like it colors what you're seeing happening in a chart. So some
And
other, yeah, I'm sorry.
even in twins charts there, we can see two like twins born seconds apart almost living their chart differently. So, we have to meet the person and how they are with these things too. So, and I'm pretty sure most people would agree that the two people we've looked at today are not living in for the good of all. So, yeah, sorry.
And without going into a whole lot of detail, just know that at the end of March, there's going to be a heating up for him involving international matters and what he's been up to, and whatever kind of uh, manipulating might have been going on. And then after that, Uranus, that's going to be from, well, I won't go into details. I could just know that's going to happen. And then in the end of May, it heats up again. And this time, that's when the legal stuff could start really kicking in, like trials or something more, charges. And then in June, Uranus, where it currently is going to be in his 11th house of group associations, exactly opposing his Jupiter in Scorpio in his 5th house of children and risk taking. So there should be something really big that comes to light then. And then the moment in July that I mentioned of everything kind of coalescing involving his Saturn and his Neptune, everything coalescing. So something way too much detail. Just know those are beats that are going to be real important. And so they're like regular, almost at recognizable intervals. And whatever he thinks, he will not be a happy person by July, and probably much sooner than that.
And just to add to when Uranus gets to 27 degrees and opposes his Jupiter, this 27 Taurus is where Uranus last stationed retrograde. So it's things that have been kind of, brewing for some time. So,
Okay, Andy, we've been yakking.
yeah.
Well, I think that Europe is going to really look at whether they want Starlink. I think that there's going to be a real um, questioning of how secure utilizing his technology really is. I think that there are potential losses that he stands to see relative to his technological imprint. I think that he is in for a rude awakening. That would be my expectation for Musk. I think that there will be a pushback against a lot of people, but I think Musk, more than anyone, is going to be the focal point of a lot of that. And getting back to what Louise was saying about the chart, I'm not really primarily an astrologer. I use it for looking at energetic imprints, especially relative to relationships, both synastry relationships, how do you get along with your partner, and past life relationships. But the chart really suggests an orientation towards living. It suggests a mode of operation. So if you think of the planets as all having personalities trying to achieve something, there is a collective energetic imprint that a person brings to the table. To me, that supersedes the transits. But transits, if they are powerful enough, will activate a predisposition within that particular person. So the aspect has to be aspecting something. And that something is the natal chart and the personality and the emotional orientation, the emotional template that a person brings to the table. So, of course, one aspect is not going to hit everybody the same way. And also the degrees are going to be different. So the levels of intensity will be quite different. But as far as Musk, I think, especially within the EU, there will be a serious questioning of whether they can actually do business with this dude. And I think that that could also happen within the United States military. So I persist in my theory that Musk, like Trump, does not ascend to the heights that they want. That instead, again, I guess Icarus is our poster boy for the day. I think they fly too high and crash. And I would expect that happens probably within the next 12 months. So we'll see.
Yep. I think so. And that maybe faster. That new moon in Aquarius is also square his Pallas Athena in the 10th house, which is, justice coming again, and his career. Yeah.
I'm going to say it's quicker than a year.
Oh, I think.
Yeah, I think so too. I mean, I think it's, but I mean, there's incremental loss to Musk. Musk is too powerful to just crash in 2 weeks, but there can be a series of impacts that hit him, and so the full extent of that drop may take a while to fully be able to quantify. I think the pushback, they're going very aggressively, and I'm talking about Trump and really the sort of the techno bro power structure behind them, too aggressively, in my opinion. And I think it's a shock to people's nervous systems. And I believe that once they restabilize, they're going to say, hey, we ain't playing this game, baby. And I think that there will be a pushback, and I think that pushback will be intense. And I think it will be a shock I think that Musk comes from an orientation of superiority. You go back to the Nazis and their modes of thinking, if we really want to go down a dark trail. But simplistically, they don't have a high level of respect for the average person. But the average person is probably a lot more in tune than they think and is able to take action in ways that they are probably not expecting. I think they've opened themselves up to a real problem, and I'm looking forward to them seeing the full brunt of what that problem is going to do for them. So I think, yes, it's probably going to be less than 12 months, but I do think that there is an incremental erosion of Musk's power base, his financial base, and maybe even his freedom over the next year or so. To me, his 12th house is him. And I think that his 12th house is not a happy house for him either, in my opinion. And to me, that suggests um, feelings of inadequacy. I want to be a powerful, I want to be a bad dude, but I just think he bites off more than he can chew. We'll see. That
He's
is my
also got
opinion of Elon Musk.
he's also got mummy issues with that 12th house stuff,
Well,
and
sure.
his Virgo moon, and his mother is a real piece of work, Maya Musk. But anyway, and before we go, and we're not going to share the charts because we have not got time to go through all of them. But I know that Kathy looked at Zuckerberg and what was the other one you looked at? And
Oh, Jeff Bezos.
yeah,
Uh, yeah.
Tech Bros, they've got some bad
Right.
stuff coming too, right? So
Well, whatever Zuckerberg's current position is, it's about to be incredibly volatile because Uranus is going to be moving over his sun. His sun is directly on Trump's midheaven. There's some kind of connection of toppling. July is another really, really awkward and uncomfortable time for him. Currently, Pluto squaring his Pluto. Um, I think he's been forced into things. I'm not so sure that he is quite the willing participant in a lot. People are, because anyway, he was threatened with all kinds of stuff.
mhm.
Bezos, I
We don't
the,
need to go through the aspects. It's
no, but
just
just know that
yeah.
everything is lighting up stuff internally for him. So
Mm-hmm.
whatever you see out in the world, know that there's a complete restructuring going on in his inner approach to things, no matter how much you see him out in the world. And interestingly, he has the same Saturn conjunct Venus in that order uh, aspect that Trump has, but in a different sign. His is in Aquarius and uh, his is in Aquarius. Trump's is in Cancer. So what Uranus is doing in the sky right now has been pressuring that. I don't know where it's going to lead. Just know these two guys may look like, oh, everything is going wonderfully for them. It'll be much more publicly visible how uncomfortable things are. For Zuckerberg, Bezos, it'll be a lot more hidden.
Yeah. Yeah, and just one last thing that Aquarius is very much associated with AI and tech and like the PayPal mafia kind of world. And this Aquarius new moon is really powerful because we're at lunar maximum and it starts the Chinese New Year of the wood snake. And so and that's very yin and feminine. And I think it's most of them are going to face some kind of comeuppance.
Compare and contrast. Jeff Bezos's ex-wife
Mm.
has been donating her fortune to science and
Million.
education, and I think she
Yeah,
married a high school teacher. So,
she did.
she's been devoting her share of their combined fortune to the future, to bettering
Yeah,
the conditions for all kinds of people.
yeah,
Interesting.
isn't it? All right. So last word from me is I would love it if you would check out my Venus retrograde class. The price goes up on February the 1st, and so the 2-pay option goes away. So I'm not going to give you the details. The links in the description. So a lot of people have signed up. Andy, do you have anything to say before we go?
Just try to stay zen, try to stay calm, believe in your fellow Americans. We're not all MAGA people. Good things can still happen. I still believe in the power, the collective power of the United States. I still maintain my long-standing belief that women, thank God, will save us. And this pushback to make women, God, subservient back into the 1800s, it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. We're not going to let it happen. So, and also, happy birthday to me 2 weeks from now. So I'm all excited. I'll be 70. Dear God, how did that happen? And yeah, that's all I have. Happy 2025.
And I'm going to say happy birthday to both of you.
Well, thank you.
Yes, and
Yeah.
Kathy's is coming up before mine, but
Yeah.
I have like a more monumental one because I'm like 74. How did that happen?
My final words are, as much as possible, if you have to experience outrage, freak out, whatever, get it out. And then just keep in mind that, first off, Mars is retrograde, and a lot of what is going on right now. Oh, I forgot to mention there's one executive order that undoes something from the 60s with an exact opposition to that moment. But that doesn't mean it's Mars's retrograde. So an awful lot that's going on right now is going to get turned around. Also, this deluge, this incredible deluge of things, a whole lot of it actually is either going to take a long time to play out, like getting out of the Paris Climate Accord and the World Health Organization. And I think things are going to be a lot different by the time that comes around. And a lot of it absolutely cannot happen. So the point is stirring everybody up, a tremendous amount of outrage. My takeaway for you is please monitor your own sanity and peace and do what you need to do to stay grounded. I've been seeing people suggesting situational awareness. I mean, just notice your surroundings, take care of what you need. Put your own sanity at the top of your to-do list. Spend time with people who make you glad that you're alive. Find those people. Do something for someone else. In 12-step groups, there's always the admonition that you can stay grounded, stay sober, say whatever, if you get out of yourself and do something for somebody else. And this is clearly, with all this Pisces energy, a time for supporting, for showing mercy, for showing compassion and kindness. If there is a particular community that you see being threatened right now, see what you can do for them. I am asking people to look into World Central Kitchen, which brings food to people who are dealing with horrific things and also their helpers, or the Trevor Project. Just find out what it is. So,
or the Humane Society too, because going and being around, or even volunteering, like go and walk dogs at the Humane Society, because animals are very healing too.
right.
Yeah.
So spread it in some small way. And this isn't just namby-pamby, airy-fairy talk. Energy spreads this way. We're creating a network of calm and sanity, and just find out who you can hold hands with. My image of the week for this week in my forecast was the citizens of Whoville holding hands around the tree and singing their little Whoville song when all had been taken from them, and they found something to celebrate. Find something to celebrate.
And walk in nature, that always does me good too. So just look at the world around. It's going to be okay. Honestly, we are going to be okay. I've known that for a long time, even before this election. So better than. Okay. Peace out, everybody.